Good afternoon and welcome to our Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. Remembrances and celebrations of his life and ministry, the way that he reflects the faith that guides us today. Morningside United Church of Christ and Covina Community Church welcome you into this celebration. We want to extend a special welcome to some of our campers and families who are connecting to us through Pilgrim Pines Winter Wonder Camp. They have been working in community and learning in community over this holiday weekend and will continue to, but had a break in their schedule and opened up this event as an extra activity. So we're thankful for their participation. Before we begin, we would like to name that the voices that you hear are from volunteers, but they are reading the words of Dr. King in his own voice, in his language. Language evolves, it flows. So please do not take offense to words, but be both convicted and inspired by the ideas and the wisdom that he shared. We'd like to say a special thank you to Sierra Ruiz, who did a huge effort in captioning our readers for greater accessibility for this event, and to Cheryl Farrell, who was one of the key planners of this event. She'll get credit as a reader, but she did so much more in helping promote, plan, and envision this event. We are thankful to our poets, musicians, and readers. We're thankful to all of you who took time to be here with us tonight, who take time to remember the inspiration of Dr. King. Now, we would miss the point if we gathered, shared some quotes that inspire us, listened to some music, and then headed off to go back to business as usual. Dr. King, in his later years, was prophetic about what would be required for true change and the obstacles that would come. Many of those came quicker than he might have assumed, and we have been waiting to take some of the next steps ever since then. It will take multiple people with more than one dream, not just dreaming, but willing to march to see them happen. Lots of people with hopes, but also the hard work to make them become a reality. So we come to this event not just to remember, but to allow ourselves to be filled up, to be inspired, to remember where the civil rights movement has been, and to lament where it has frozen, but mostly to dream where we might be partners in the next steps, in the next phase, as Dr. King would have said. So allow your imagination to run wild during this service. Hear Dr. King's words, hear the challenge, allow yourself to feel that, but allow your imagination room to run wild, to imagine where we might go as a society and to think about what it might cost us and what role each of us might play in that journey. Thank you for being here. We are grateful for your participation in this celebration. And now let us turn to the word.
Deep river, my home is over Jordan. Deep I want to cross over into campground. Oh, don't you want to go to that glorious feast? That promised land where is peace. Deep river, my home is open Jordan. Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground.
With Selma and the Voting Rights Act, Phase 1 of the development in the civil rights movement came to an end. A new phase opened, but few observers realized it or were prepared for its implications. For the vast majority of white Americans, the past decade, the first phase, had been a struggle to treat the Negro with a degree of decency, not equality. He was critical of those who would resist the second phase. His white American was ready to demand that the Negro should be spared the leash of brutality and coarse degradation, but it had never been fully committed to helping him out of poverty, exploitation, or all other forms of discrimination. The outraged white citizen had been sincere when he snatched the whip from the Southern sheriff and forbade them more cruelty. But when this was to the degree accomplished, the emotions that momentarily flamed him melted away. White America left the Negro on the ground and in devastating numbers walked off with the aggressor. It appeared that white segregationists and the ordinary white citizen had more in common with one another than either had with the Negro.
When the Negroes looked for the realization of equality, they found that many of their white allies had quietly disappeared. The Negroes of America had taken the president, the press, and the pulpit at their word when they spoke in broad terms of freedom and justice. But the absence of brutality and unregenerate evil is not the presence of justice. To stay murder is not the same thing as to obtain brotherhood.
The majority of white Americans consider themselves to be sincerely committed to justice. They believe that American society is essentially hospitable to fair play and to steady growth toward a middle-class utopia embodying racial harmony. But unfortunately, this is a fantasy of self-deception and comfortable vanity. Overwhelmingly, America is still struggling with the resolution and contradictions. It has been sincere and even ardent in welcoming some change, but too quickly, apathy and disinterest rise to the surface when the next logical steps are to be taken.
The limited degree of concern is a reflection of an inner conflict, which measures cautiously the impact of any change to the status quo. As the nation passes from opposing extremist behavior to the deeper and more pervasive elements in equality, white America reaffirms its bonds to the status quo. It had contemplated comfortably hugging the shoreline, but now fears that the winds of change are blowing it out to sea. The practical cost of change for the nation up to this point has been cheap. The limited reforms have been obtained at bargain rates. There are no expenses and no taxes are required for Negroes to share lunch counters, libraries, parks, hotels, and other facilities with whites.
Even the more significant changes involved in voter registration require neither largely monetary nor psychological sacrifice. Spectacular and turbulent events that dramatized the demand created an erroneous impression that heavy burden was involved. The real cost lies ahead. The stiffening of white resistance is a recognition of that fact. The discount education given to Negroes will in the future have to be purchased at full price if quality education is to be realized. Jobs are harder and costlier to create than voter rolls. The eradication of slums, housing millions, is complex far beyond integrating buses and lunch counters.
Negroes have proceeded from a premise that equality means what it says. And they have taken white Americans at their word when they talked of it as an objective. But most whites in America in 1967, including persons of goodwill, proceed from a premise that equality is a loose expression for improvement.
Anybody here seen my old friend Abraham? Can you tell me where he's gone? He freed a lot of people, but it seems the good they die young. I just looked around, then he's gone. Anybody here seen my old friend John? Can you tell me where he's gone? He freed a lot of people, it seems the good they die young. I just looked around and he's gone. Didn't you love the things that they stood for? Didn't they try to find some good for you and me? And we'll be free someday. It's gonna happen one day. Anybody here see my old friend Bobby? Can you tell me where he's gone?
At the march to Montgomery, there was a delay at the airport and several thousand demonstrators waited more than 5 hours, crowding together on the seats, the floors, the stairways of the terminal building. As I stood with them and saw white and black, nuns and priests, ministers and rabbis, labor organizers, lawyers, doctors, housemaids, and shop workers brimming with vitality and enjoying a rare comradeship, I knew I was seeing a microcosm of the mankind of the future in this moment of luminous and genuine brotherhood.
Whites, it must frankly be said, are not putting in a similar mass effort to re-educate themselves out of their racial ignorance. It is an aspect of their sense of superiority that the white people of America believe they have so little to learn. The reality of substantial investment to assist Negroes into the 20th century, including to neighborhoods and genuine school integration, it's still a nightmare for all too many white Americans.
The legal structures having practice proved to be neither structures nor law. The sparse and insufficient collection of statutes is not a structure. It is barely a naked framework. Legislation that is evaded, substantially nullified, and unenforced is a mockery of law. Significant process has eventually been barred by the cunning obstruction of segregationists.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Alone ways from home, a long ways from home. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Always from home. Always from home. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. A long ways from home. A long ways from home. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone.
Oh, how long ways from home.
American we. I've heard America speak when hate goes on attack, and I've observed its habit of glossing over facts. When violence creates a storm that goes a bridge too far, the canned refrain is always, "That's not who we are." Now I understand the distance our country wants to place between the honorable we and those purveyors of hate. But we must self-define with cleaner honesty and acknowledge that evil among us is too the American we. Call them what you will, lawless and abhorrent, but outsiders they are not. They are in no way foreign. Despite our braggadocio, we're not all we have said, for this beautifully quilted land has its rotted threads. They've been here since inception. They have no plans to leave. Their presence is a promise. They too, the American we. But we will not breathe sighs of defeated resignation, for goodness yet survives across this battered nation. May those of right intent swell in numbers strong and stand defiant in the face of every wretched wrong. For if we do not form a united weaponry, we stand no chance against our dark American we. Thank you.
Martin Luther King's favorite hymn. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn through the storm, through the night. Lead me on to the light. Oh, take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home. Precious Lord, linger near when my life is almost gone. Hear my cry, hear my call. Oh, take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home. 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 When the darkness appears and the night draws near, and the day is past and gone. Now by the river I stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home. 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 Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. Come take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home.
It would be grossly unfair to omit recognition of a minority of whites who genuinely want authentic equality. Their commitment is real, sincere, and is expressed in 1,000 deeds. But they are balanced at the other end of the pole by the unregenerate segregationists who have declared that democracy is not worth having if it involves equality. The majority of Americans are suspended between these opposing attitudes. They are uneasy with injustice, but unwilling yet to pay a significant price to eradicate it.
The line of progress is never straight. For a period, a movement may follow a straight line, and then it encounters obstacles and the path bends. It's like curving around a mountain when you are approaching a city. Often it feels as though you were moving backwards and you lose sight of the goal. But in fact, you're moving ahead. Soon you will see the city again, closer by. To lightly dismiss a success because it does not usher in a complete order of justice is to fail to comprehend the process of achieving full victory. It underestimates the value of confrontation and dissolves the confidence born of a partial victory by which new efforts are powered.
For hundreds of years, Negro had fought to stay alive by developing an endurance for hardship and heartbreak. In this decade, they stepped into a new role. He no longer would endure. He would resist and win. He still had the age-old capacity to live in hunger and want, but now he banished these as his lifelong companions. He could tolerate humiliation and scorn, but now he armed himself with dignity and resistance, and his adversary tasted the gall of defeat.
You thought I was worth saving, so you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for, so you sacrificed your life so I could be free, so I could be whole, so I could tell everyone I know. You thought I was worth saving, so you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for, so you sacrificed your life so I could be free, so I could be whole, so I could tell everyone I know. You thought I was worth saving, so you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for, so you sacrificed your life so I could be free, so I could be whole, so I could tell everyone I know I was worth. You thought I was worth saving. You came into my life. You thought I was worth keeping. You cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for. You sacrificed your life so I could be free, so I could be whole, and I can tell everyone I know. Hallelujah. Glory to the God who changed my life, and I will praise you. I'll worship you. I'll give you glory, because I am free, because I am whole, and I will tell everyone I know. Hallelujah. Glory to the God who changed my life, and I will praise you. I'll worship you. I'll give you glory, because you deserve the praise. You deserve the honor forever and ever, because I am free, because I am whole, and I will tell everyone I know. You thought I was worth saving, so you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for. That means a lot to me. You thought I was to die for. You thought I was to die for, so you sacrificed your life. You sacrificed your life so I could be free.
The Negro was no longer a subject of change. He was the active organ of change. He powered the drive, he set the pace. And at the same time, it had become clear the white oppression could be defeated. But it remained a formidable force, capable of hardening its resistance when the cost of change had increased.
Power, properly understood, is the ability to achieve purpose. It is the strength required to bring about social, political, or economic changes. In this sense, power is not only desirable, but necessary in order to implement the demands of love and justice. One of the greatest problems of history is that the concepts of love and power are usually contrasted as polar opposites. Love is defined with a resignation of power, and power with a denial of love. What is needed is the realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. Justice at its best is love correcting everything that stands against love.
The stability of the large world house, which is ours, will involve a revolution of values to accompany the scientific and freedom revolutions engulfing the earth. We must rapidly begin to shift from a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. When machines and computers, profit motives, and property rights are considered more important than people, the giant triplets of racism, materialism, and militarism are incapable of being conquered. A genuine revolution of values means, in the final analysis, that our loyalties must become ecumenical rather than sectional. Every nation must now develop an overriding loyalty to humankind as a whole in order to preserve the best in their individual societies.